The actress Elizabeth Sladen, who played Doctor Who's assistant Sarah Jane Smith in the series during the 1970s, has died.
She'd been on telly for almost 40 years.
We're still getting thousands of messages from you guys after the death of Elizabeth Sladen.
In recent years, she'd starred in the spin-off series The Sarah Jane Adventures on children's channel CBBC.
It's been about a year since the last time I was here on Bannerman Road. It's quite weird to be back, actually.
There was always like a vision that I have of Bannerman Road of just like lots of people around hustling and bustling and getting things ready for takes, and that's not here, so it's a weird feeling.
A lot of important things happened here. I mean, we said goodbye to Tommy, who plays Luke, down this drive, and we said hello to Sky over there, so it's got good memories. But obviously it'd be nice if Liz was here as well.
What's incredible about Liz Sladen is that how many actors or actresses will have appeared to more than one generation of children and adults. Because when she was doing Who back in the day, those children became adults and then they saw her on Doctor Who, but this generation of children now love her again. And I think what a remarkable achievement for any actor.
I thought all this might give me a good story. I'm a journalist. Sarah Jane Smith.
You realise this is a very dangerous place to be in.
Well, I can't help that. I'm stuck here now.
Before I started Sarah Jane, I wasn't really... I didn't know much about the whole Doctor Who world and stuff, and obviously I went to the audition and got the part, and as an actor you like to do a little bit of research and stuff, so I went on the internet and found some clips of Lizzie working with Tom Baker and stuff in Doctor Who when she was younger.
How do you do? Have you met Miss Smith? She's my best friend.
Is she? And still beautifully intact, I see.
I try my best under the circumstances.
I think the chemistry between Sarah Jane Smith and the Doctor was absolutely encapsulated by the fact that they were friends. You felt that they were travelling together, they were doing all these amazing adventures and obviously being terrified and being frightened and being threatened, and yet at the basis of all was this deep friendship between them.
Halt! Or I'll fire! Just act natural.
My dad was a massive Who fan, and kind of I had this rule when I was a kid that if my dad enjoyed it, it probably wasn't for me. But actually, when I first kind of saw Sarah Jane on CBBC, my dad pointed Liz out straight away and was like, "Oh my God, it's Sarah Jane, she's back!" And I kind of spoke to him about it, and he had these little cards that he'd got. I don't really know where he'd got them from, and this is weird because my dad doesn't really collect things, but he had a card of Liz, and she looked amazing. Pointed her out to me and said, "This is who you could be working with if you get the part."
Over the years, because I started off as a Doctor Who fan and I'd met Liz through conventions and things, we became friends. We socialised. We'd sort of have the occasional coffee and talk about things, talk about work, not just obviously about Doctor Who and Sarah Jane, but it meant that when she came to be asked to come to Cardiff to do school reunion, I was one of the people that she phoned up on the QT and said, "Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think I should be doing this? Am I mad to say yes? Would I be mad to say no?" And I was going, "You would definitely be mad to say no. Of course you have to go and do it. This is the fantastic opportunity, and it's Sarah Jane Smith, who everyone loves."
May I introduce Miss Sarah Jane Smith? Miss Smith is a journalist who's writing a profile about me for the Sunday Times.
The first time I saw Liz Sladen on television was when she appeared in the school reunion with David Tennant, and I remember what struck me was seeing David's response. He goes, "Ah! Sarah Jane, and you can see the response of just a huge Doctor Who fan going, oh my God, it's Sarah Jane.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yes, very nice. More than nice, brilliant.
And I thought, well, wow, OK, who's this cat, you know? I think she made it look very effortless and as though she'd never been away, really.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Oh, it's not goodbye.
You say it, please, this time. Say it.
Goodbye. My Sarah Jane.
I think when Russell Davies asked Liz to come and do the Sarah Jane Adventures series, I think she was bowled over. I think she never really believed it. Every so often, I think she was pinching herself going, really? They want me to do a series for children? Which is something she would love because she loved kids. She always thought Doctor Who was very much for kids. And I think all those pieces coming together really, really appealed to her.
13 Bannerman Road is where Sarah Jane Smith lives. And it's home to things way beyond your imagination. There's an extraterrestrial supercomputer in the wall. Her son, a genetically engineered boy genius. A schoolgirl investigator across the road. And a whole universe of adventure. Right here on the doorstep.
Ready?
Always.
The first time I met Liz was my first day on Sarah Jane. We were filming at Cardiff High School, I think. A few scenes for episode 1 with the Sladen, the first time we see them. And I had my first scene of the day with Yasmin, who played Maria, and Tommy, who plays Luke.
You new today?
Yeah, Maria.
Clyde, you too. Probably hang around with you till I meet some cooler people. How do you do? I'm Luke Smith. OK, that was a joke. No, I mean it.
And then in the afternoon, I met Liz. Lovely lady, so welcoming to everyone. That's what she was like with everyone. And that's my first memory of Lizzie.
I got the part and was dead nervous to come to Cardiff, came for a read-through and met Liz, and she was there with these, like, what were they, cheetah-framed glasses, like orange with black speckles on, and just so not like kind of how I expected her to be.
Sarah's a journalist.
For real? I'm really interested in becoming a reporter. Before I had a chance to say a single word about, hello, nice to meet you, or Sarah Jane, you know, my dad knows who you are, Liz, your real name, all this rubbish was about to spill out of my mouth in complete nerves and angst. And she just ran up to me and gave me this massive bear hug and kind of said, welcome to Sarah Jane, welcome to the show.
The first time that I met Liz, she had this big, huge smile. I think the most striking thing immediately that I sort of recognised about Liz was what a sort of brilliantly youthful quality she had. Now, I don't know if that was because she was around young people, but I don't think it just was that. There was a sense of youth and play and energy and drive as well, and she sort of had remarkable warmth. And I think that really led the show, actually. I think that really comes across.
All the most amazing qualities of Sarah Jane, her kind of, her family sense, her kind of maternal feel, kind of her independence and her strength and her kindness, all those amazing qualities that you find in Sarah Jane are all rooted from Liz herself. She was just like that in real life.
It really struck me how the actors that play the kids in it were just so fond of her, and her of them, and they had real banter on set.
So, guess what?
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 Lizzie was incredible to act alongside, constantly giving you advice, not in a horrible way. That was the best thing about her, you know? She'd make sure that you took it on the chin, and she was a lovable headmistress, really. And I'll miss that. I will miss that about her. You could ask her anything about anything, and she always had the answer.
Well done, Mr. Smith.
Looks like NASA just lost yet another Mars probe.
What was that? On the horizon?
An ancient civilization. Ancient and terrible. Some of Mars's secrets are best left undiscovered.
Whenever kind of me, Danny and Tommy would be sat in the car, like just making jokes, just trying to get through kind of like a really long setup or something, or just generally fooling about, throwing things at each other, causing havoc as you do, Liz would be straight on it, straight on to kind of, guys, stop it. And you just kind of felt like, oh, OK, guys, we have to stop now, we're in trouble. But every now and then when Liz would get excited at either the rap party or some great news that we'd been nominated for an award, kind of that excitement would kind of squeeze out of Liz, and you just see this like really fun kind of like ditzy but in a really intelligent way kind of coming out of Liz, and she'd just kind of like roar with laughter.
Well, come on then, you two, out you get.
She was the kind of woman who every now and then when we were laughing, she'd kind of snort as she was laughing and then get incredibly embarrassed about it and then wouldn't be able to stop laughing or snorting, so everybody would just end up in fits of giggles. But it was just that side to her you didn't see very often, but when it did come out, it was hilarious.
Look! Sarah Jane. I was wrong, it is aliens.
Yeah, I know.
Lizzie was always nervous about her performances and stuff. I mean, I can remember going to screenings, because we used to go and watch the first episode of each series at screenings and stuff. She'd always come up to us at the end and say, you know, was my performance okay? What did you think about it? And there are so many times where I wanted to just shake her and say, you know, you're amazing, stop being silly. So I just wish that she knew.
If any person can show just cause or impediment why they may not be joined together, let them speak now and forever hold their peace.
Stop this wedding now!
I think the biggest compliment to Liz and to Sarah Jane Smith was the fact that in her show, during its run, 2 doctors came into her show. So whereas for years she'd been a guest in Doctor Who, now they were coming into the Sarah Jane adventures.
Sorry, please, no!
Good.
I think she loved it. In fact, I know she loved it, because the Doctor's such a big part of Sarah Jane's life and of Liz's life, so she definitely loved it.
So, gosh, that was different. Hello, everyone.
Who are you?
It's quite interesting to work with someone who's worked with multiple doctors. You get a bit nervous about it because you think, oh, my God, what if she thinks I'm the worst one? But she just made me feel lovely and, you know, talented, I suppose.
Hello, Sarah Jane.
Doctor? That's the Doctor.
I think that was a real kick for Liz. I think she was very, very pleased and very proud of the fact that the doctors came and appeared in the Sarah Jane adventures.
Yeah, I'd probably better go. You know me, stuff to do.
If I'd had a chance to work with Liz again, I would have loved her to come on Doctor Who and meet Amy Pond. Because what's so interesting is you know immediately when someone has been a companion to a doctor, because they get immediately the tone of danger.
Maybe leaving Clyde in the same place wasn't such a good idea.
Look out, stand back.
And coming on to Sarah Jane and seeing Liz just nail, you know, the tone, and that's so important in Doctor Who and the Sarah Jane adventures. It's all about tone and tone of performance and pitching it at just the right amount of drama, and she did that so articulately. And, you know, I think to get her back on Doctor Who would have been a dream, really.
The actress Elizabeth Sladen, who played Doctor Who's assistant Sarah Jane Smith in the series during the 1970s, has died. In recent years, she'd starred in the spin-off series The Sarah Jane Adventures on children's channel CBBC. She was 63 and had been suffering from cancer.
I knew Liz was ill. We knew she had cancer. We didn't know, and nobody knew, including Liz, how bad it was going to be.
I was at home with a few of my friends, and I'd got a call from Brian, our producer, and he said that she'd passed away the night before, and it was just shock. That's all I can really explain it as, to be honest. I didn't really believe it at first.
I couldn't really speak for a while, and I felt like there was this pressure to feel a certain way, but I just didn't feel anything. It was just like the most empty feeling I'd ever felt, and I just kind of wanted to text Liz or call her straight away and just kind of speak to her, which is really weird because I knew that she wouldn't answer or reply.
I was given the news of Liz passing away the night before I went on to set the next day, and Piers Wenger, the producer, rang me to tell me that they would be giving a press release. And I went on to set the next morning, and many of the crew work on Doctor Who, also work on Sarah Jane, and you know, the atmosphere was very sombre because she was hugely popular with them. hugely popular. You know, they really loved her.
All day today, we've been reporting the news that Elizabeth Sladen, star of Doctor Who and the Sarah Jane Adventures, has died.
Liz passed away yesterday after being ill with cancer, and you've been sending in hundreds of tributes to our website.
The most moving thing, and also I think the thing that made me proudest was the children, was people writing into Newsround and CBBC and all the letters being read out and everything.
We're still getting thousands of messages from you guys after the death of Elizabeth Sladen.
Newsround kind of had to shut their gates because there was so many emails and letters coming from children of all ages and of all backgrounds, just kind of wanting to say something.
I was really upset about this devastating news. She will be sadly missed by everyone, young and old, and that's from Grace Emily, 11. On from Kyle, in Swansea. I'm gutted that Elizabeth isn't with us anymore. No one can or will replace her.
Reading them out was really, really sad, really, to be honest. Obviously, we all knew that the show was popular and stuff. We knew Liz, but we forgot that kids watching would feel like they knew Liz as well, and reading out their letters was quite an emotional time.
She was amazing, fun and inspirational. I don't think the Sarah Jane Adventures will ever be the same.
There's something wonderful about the fact that she was celebrated throughout the world as well and mourned in such a loving way, if that's the right word. It's difficult to find the right words when you're talking about things like this, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament to an actress who has appealed across so many sort of generations to so many people, children and adults alike, that people can share in their love and affection for her collectively.
There's an irony that I think if Liz had known how much she was loved and could have seen that outpouring of grief, I think she would have been absolutely amazed and gone, this has to be about someone else, this can't be about me, because she never believed and never accepted how much she was loved and how very important she and that character were to audiences all over the world. Obviously, the first question everybody had at the time was, will the series continue? Can it continue without Liz? I think that question probably went through Russell's mind and came out as a negative within a split second. It was so obvious that you couldn't replace Liz. You couldn't just put some new character into this series. This series was the Sarah Jane Adventures. This series was about Elizabeth Sladen's character.
We had 5 great years, all of us. We all gained a lot and we gained some amazing friends. And obviously we got to work with Liz Sladen. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, to be honest.
I just think it's remarkable that she came back into the show and then had her own show, you know, which was a huge success. It's really quite something.
I saw amazing things out there in space. But there's strangeness wherever you turn. Life on Earth can be an adventure too. You just need to know where to look.